Hi, this is Marcos Oliveira, web development instructor, afternoon classes, and I'm here to talk about basic in Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator Basics. My first thing, I'm gonna talk something really basic that is the selection tool. Okay, um, you can see by the video that I made a screenshot of the tool panel, and I magnify so this way it's easy to see. And the very first two things that we see is those two arrows. One is the black one and the other one is the white one. And if I roll over, you can see that it says that the black one is the selection tool. You select, or you can click or press V. And the other one is the direct selection tool that you can click again or select, just click the A. You're going to see that as we talk about in other tutorials, we talk about these other tools, that some of the tools has this triangle next to it. And when you click, I'm going to click here, and you're going to see that there is other options related to the same tool. Okay, we're going to talk more about those, but for now, be aware that every time you see an arrow, like for instance the pen tool, and I can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 options for the pen tool. So with this said, okay, I'm going to talk about relate to those two selection tool. I'm going to talk about a question that I have from a student about what is the difference between grouping, joining, and attaching. Okay, so here it is. The first one, and I'm going to be using those two arrows. The first one is why grouping. Okay, grouping make easy for you to work with sometimes object that should be together, or if you want to isolate a part of a object, you can group them. Okay, so for instance, I have this rectangle that I just created, and let me color it. And most of anything that most of options that you want, I would recommend that the first place that you go in the software is the window. This is not only for Illustrator, but Photoshop and InDesign is the same. Most of the tools that you'll be looking for, I would say that 80% you're going to find here. For instance, I want color. Okay, so I selected color, and here it is. And usually you have to click here to get more options, and I have. And with this tool here, that basically is stroke, that this line around the object, and this second one is the fill. Okay, so make sure that one is forward. In this case, the one is forward is the stroke. So when I click a color like a red, my stroke become red, and here shows that's red. Okay, at this moment I have a fill of white and a stroke of this kind of a magenta color, and with this arrow, okay, that I can show here, the big one, this double arrow here, meaning that every time I click, I reverse the order. In this case, when I click here, I will have a white back stroke and a kind of magenta background. So I'm going to click here, and you're going to see the result in my my rectangle, because my rectangle is selected. Okay, so here it is. I click, and voila, I have my my rectangle now filled with this color, this reddish color, and white stroke. Okay, so I'm going to create a second one, again, clicking here because I want to create a ellipse to a ellipse. So it's under the shapes are under the rectangle here. Okay, so if I click in the arrow, so I have a rectangle and I have all those options and I want a ellipse. So I just click and I have an ellipse. Okay, I'm gonna change the color just to make it easy for you guys to see it. In this case, let me see. I'm gonna make sure that I have the fill selected. I just have to click and make sure that he's on above, okay, in the drawing. So now when I go in, let me change it to another color. Okay, so now I have this. It's called cyan, this color, and it's kind of teal color. Okay, so I'm going to create a third object, and again I will go this time to the rectangle tool, and this time, and I will select a polygon tool. Means that in this case has more than 4 sides. So I just click, and I will go back to this, my selection tool, move tool, I'm sorry, the move tool, and again making sure that my fill is selected. Okay, and I can go to, let me see which color, let me go to a yellowish. Okay, so I'm gonna click the X here to close, making sure that the move tool that is selected. I'm going to click. I can do in 2 ways. I can drag and select all of them, or I can go click, shift, and select them. Okay, this is when the grouping coming. Okay, so I go to object and I select group. Okay, now every time I click one of them, all of them are selected, and see what happens. Okay, and you'll see one question that I have had before is, if I'm in a group, can I still select individually? Yes. Without grouping? Yes. And what you should do is to go to the white arrow, that is the direct selection, and you click. And if you click in the object in the middle, okay, you see that only this one is selected. And I can move, I can get it closer, I can get this one closer also, okay. And but when I go back to the move tool, that's the black arrow, and if I click, it's selected, okay. This is how I group, okay. I'm gonna leave this here down, and I'm going to do the other one, that is the joint, okay. When I use joint, let me get the pen tool. The pen tool is this one, and I'm gonna click, okay, and go back. In this case, I have 2 lines, and so you can see, I'm gonna put some stroke, because in this case my stroke is still is white. Let me do here. Okay, let me make a stronger color. And now you can see, maybe I should go to stroke. And let me make, you cannot see because I'm not showing, but I'm making, this is going to be another tutorial, but let me make this 3 point, okay? So for this one to make a joint, what it means joint, that I'm going to connect those 2 points, or those 2 points, or both, okay? So in this case, I have to use the direct selection tool, that's the white one. So I click here to select the top. You see that where I didn't select, it's a hollow box, and this is a full, means that this is selected. So I do shift and I do the same thing in the other side. So means that those two here are ready to be joined. Okay, how do I do this? I go to object, I go to path, because joint it's possible only with path. Okay, what is a path? It's nothing more than a line. Okay, like those two lines. And I go joint, and you can see here that was now they are acting like a single object. It's an open shape, but it's a single object. And before they were different from group, they were together only. Now this one is just is they are actually connected, and I can do the same thing again. I can deselect, or I can do at the same time. Okay, and when I go to object again, path, joint, and here I have. Okay, the other option is called, let me leave this here, it's called unite. Okay, and in unite you actually make a new object from two different objects, meaning that they lose totally their identity. They are not more two different shapes like, or three different shapes like here in grouping. Okay, I'm going to click here, make a copy, and I can go to edit, copy, and I go to edit again and paste, and now I have. Okay, the ideal in this case is that they would be touching, okay, each other. So let me do this just to make clear. Let me ungroup. I don't have to, but I'm gonna ungroup. And now that they are ungroup, I can go here, and I'm going to, I don't know, create some unusual shape here. So let's do here. Okay. Now, what I intend to do here, sorry, is to make this a single object. Usually unite is good for you to create really complex shapes out of basic shapes, like a rectangle, a polygon, or a ellipse. I'm gonna do one at a time, and I'm gonna use the zoom. It's Command in Mac, Command plus, or Control plus in Windows. Okay, and let me do one more time, so this way you guys can see. And you can see that there is a white stroke around the shape. So because they are the same, they are going to the final object is going to have a white stroke. Okay, all of them has white stroke. So I'm gonna do two at a time. I don't have to do, I can do all of them, but two at a time. And I'm gonna bring here something called Pathfinder. And you can find the Pathfinder again, as I said, most of the tools that you need in Illustrator is going to be found under the window. Again, this it's true in Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign, all Adobe products. So here I have a selection, and unite is the left, on the top of the left. So when you roll over, you see the word unite, and you're gonna see what's gonna happen. Okay, so because the blue was the last one, so the color becomes blue. So now I have a new object. You can see that here, okay, that this is a new object that was created by uniting both this rectangle and this ellipse. Now I'm gonna do it again. I can deselect, I mean I can keep select, but I like usually to deselect and select again to avoid some kind of to avoid that something that was not supposed to be selected. So this way I just make sure it's just a habit that I have. So here is the first one, click the second one, and Again, the latest one that was selected is usually the one that is going to define the color. Okay, of course you can change the color, you can change the stroke. Okay, so here I have a more complex shape that was done by using Unite. So just recapitulating, today we talk about, in this tutorial, we talk about first the two arrows. Okay, that one is for general, like this one for general, to move things around, to select, and the other one for more specific needs. Okay, that we'll be talking of in a future tutorial. Okay, and the other thing that we talked was about grouping. Okay, putting grouping individual together so they can be part of a group. Um, the other one is joint, that is usually done, most of the time done with, I would say that uh, the only way is to use a joint is using a path. What is a path? Is this line here around an object, or is just a single line? And the last one that's made with shapes, okay, is um, the unite, that is under, that you can find under Pathfinder. Okay, so with that, thank you so much for your, and until next time.